open.
I'm
I'm
open.
open.
I'm open. I'm open. Is anyone still hungover? Are we all good from the live stream?
I'm feeling great. I don't know about y'all, but
I'm
feeling all right
I
now.
feel so open. Having special guests Cam Brock and Jordan Kerr on made me feel so open last night.
yeah, that was unreal. Yeah, I'm definitely maybe I'm not hungover, but I'm definitely still riding the high from having the impromptu Cam Brock interview. Jordan Kerr popping in, that made my year, honestly. That was that was awesome. If you're listening now and you did not watch the live stream, stay tuned. It was too fun not to do it again. So
yeah,
yeah,
agreed. Also, shout out Matt Stevens because he seems to be serious about getting me a press pass to the game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing we gotta address is Joe, you will potentially be at the Breeze Empire playoff game with a press pass.
With a real press pass, I know. Do you think that gets me like into the commentating booth and I can just hang out with Lepler the whole time? He's gonna be like, he's gonna be like, I thought you lived in DC. How can I not get rid of you? What's going on?
Are you?
You gotta get get a shirt made, like an AUDL polo to like match him.
Damn, I love that idea. Yeah, we gotta get some Ringer the AUDL polos.
Oh, that's
a nice step.
That'd be tight.
I'll bring like a notepad and a pen with me and get some interviews afterwards since I got my whole press pass. I gotta use it.
Yeah, what does that even like entail? What privileges does it give you that you wouldn't otherwise have if you just went to the game?
Yeah, it's probably I probably can I don't know. They were like not letting people on the field after the game yesterday, but it was also like clear if you were important, you could just like go onto the field too.
Yeah,
you know.
Sam, do you remember at the Summit game when after the game they're literally like, we can't let anyone on the field, like only kids. They go up and ask for autographs, and then Sam and I were like, well we're trying to jersey swap with another cut, and then the guy friends with who's like, all right, fine, but just you two.
See, I won't even have to do that. I'll just show them a little press pass, and then I'm gonna keep that as the best keepsake of all time.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody with Summit connections can get me a press pass, because I'll be at the game this upcoming weekend too, that'd be sick. So
hell yeah,
we'll pay you back in kind. Not sure how, but we'll find a way.
Yeah, yes, man.
I talked to the IT guy at work. Like it was like I was one of the only people in the office that day, and it was just me and him in a room. And I was like, so it's like, is most of your job just telling people to turn things off and turn it on again? And he was like, yes.
Yeah,
I was like, cool.
That's funny.
Oh, hey, Ben Jacht's birthday is next week.
Okay, we got a lot of AUDL birthdays lately.
It's on the day of the game, I believe, Saturday.
Oh,
no kidding.
That's pretty cool.
I feel like I wouldn't want to play in a big playoff game on my birthday.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Wow, Osgar went up in minutes played, points played, up in number of completions, and down by more than half in turnovers.
Dang.
Crazy. Well, there he is.
Hello.
Hey, Ryan.
Welcome.
Hello, gentlemen. What's going
on?
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here. Yeah, no problem.
Which bunker are you in right now?
I'm out back. I'm in the alleyway behind my apartment right now.
Okay. Nice. Good look. Better internet there or something?
Yeah, I'm friends with some guys that hang out back here.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, I will not elaborate on that. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We we got a lot of questions for you, but I guess before we launch in, I guess we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Andrew, and it's great to meet you. And I'm open. That's the name of our podcast, by the way.
Cool.
I'm Ryan. It's also great to meet you, and I'm also open.
I'm Joe. It's great to meet you, and I'm open.
And then that would make me Sam. And since they all said it, I should also say it's nice to meet you, and I'm open.
Cool. So I want to like, what's up with this podcast that I've heard so much about?
Yeah.
Like, why'd you guys start this? And you
Let
guys all
me,
play Ultimate?
It's a great
Why
question.
do you guys follow Ultimate so closely?
Andrew, do you
Yes,
want to
let me- Yeah,
Where do we
Andrew,
start?
you want to give the history? So let's see. Well, the history of us as a group is Joe is my friend from high school, and Andrew and Ryan, all three of us played Ultimate at Tulane together. And then
no way.
Andrew, if you want to take away this.
Yeah,
story
yeah.
of the pod.
So one of our teammates at Tulane, his name's Everest. He joined the Los Angeles Aviators this season. So, you know, I was like, oh, that's so sick. Like, let's watch all his games, you know. So we all got AUDL TV and stuff. And we just kind of got super into the league. And one of our friends suggested, how funny would it be if we just like, you know, campaigned to win him Rookie of the Year just by like generating like conversations on Twitter and just like talking about his name and like making hashtags and stuff like Everest Rookie of the Year, Everest Rookie of the Year, and just like somehow like will him into winning a Rookie of the Year by our, you know, social media presence in some ways. So we kind of I started like writing articles about the Aviators, and like all my articles were talking about like, I would talk about the game, and then I would say, oh, and then like rookie stud Everest Shapiro caught a pass or something, you know. And so it just kind of like just snowballed into this, like we made a podcast.
Oh,
and
man.
it just kind of got out of hand pretty quick, and now we actually interview real players. So it's
it's crazy. I was going through your guys' old videos on YouTube, and it was like we review like Domino's Pizza, and like you guys did like 5-minute long sketch or something. I was like, who the hell are these guys? Well, it's sick that you guys kind of like stumbled into this, and now it seems like you guys have like a following, so that's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
So
we also.
our first
I was going to
episode-
say also we had no idea how actual voting worked, but if media got a vote for Rookie of the Year, we wanted to like trick our way into getting a vote for that if possible.
So are you guys all still in school, or are you guys out of college now?
We're
We're
all
all
out of
okay.
college, and one of the big things is we all kind of live in different places. So like this
Okay.
all started because we were like bored, and like Andrew and I were like, let's hop on a Zoom call and let's talk tiers on the teams. And then it just like slowly was like, oh, that was really fun. Let's just do it again. And then we slowly got more into it. Then we reached out to Jordan Kerr and Pavlianis to like come on the pod, and they were like, we'll come on. And we're like, we'll come on our dumb podcast, and we have you on this podcast.
I know.
So it's just has slowly like started from just like us wanting to talk online about Frisbee to how we actually, you know, have sick players in the ADL just come on our podcast.
Well, I think you guys are like, I know you're like you just like messing around and got this started, but I think this is the kind of thing that like actually moves the league forward. And you guys probably, I don't know, I don't want to like philosophize too much, but like getting people involved in this way. And it's so funny, like there's clearly such like a void for stuff like this in the league. Cause like all the players are like happy to get on a thing like this, because no one's ever asked me to do something like this before. So it's kind of cool for me, honestly, to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I think that's a great point. And like when we had Cam Brock on, and he's like the all-time leading goal scorer in the league. And I think you know, I don't even really know what the guy looked like, honestly, like before he came on, to be honest. I mean, like I knew his name, and like, you know, I'd seen his stat pages and stuff, but you know, I didn't know who the person was. And so it was really cool to I just love being able to bring guys on, and like people can kind of show their personality a little bit in a way that maybe just kind of there's definitely not enough of that in Ultimate, I feel like. And so I guess we kind of have found ourselves in this position where we get to talk to people and get to know players, and hopefully people who listen get to know them as well. So that's been like my favorite part about it, probably.
Yeah.
So when are you guys going to start monetizing this podcast? What are your avenues of revenue for this? You got any ads yet?
We're currently losing money.
Yeah, we're hemorrhaging money quickly because we bought shirts for ourselves.
Oh, really? Does Tulane know you're using their Zoom account?
No, I've been out of school at Tulane for like 2 years now, and I don't know why, but my account is still active, so I'm using it.
That's clutch.
It is. It's huge.
Yeah,
so that'd be a big hit if they notice and take it away.
Our other issue with it is the website that we put all the articles and stuff on is ringerthe.com, because like 5 years ago we just like looked to see if, because like there's the ringer.com like owned by Bill Simmons, and so we just like looked online to see if ringerthe.com was available, and it was for like $10. So we've owned that website for like 5 years, and so we just started putting our AUDL stuff on it. And I'm like worried if we monetize it, like the Ringer will find out and be really mad at us.
Dude, no way. They'll probably like want to buy your URL. You probably can make some serious money off that.
I'm hoping that they just bring us into their podcast network, and then we actually become a money-making podcast.
We'll be the Ringer AUDL finally. That'll be the day.
Then I could afford a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where are you guys all living these days?
I'm in New Orleans. So I went to Tulane and then I never left. So I'm still here.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm out in Denver right now. So I get to watch the summit every week, so that's pretty fun.
Nice.
I'm in DC, so I was at the Breeze Philly game yesterday.
Oh, nice. That was probably a good one. I didn't watch the game. I watched the first quarter of it, but other than that, I didn't see it. First quarter was kind of
that was the best quarter of it.
Yeah, it was.
And then I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, but I'm actually in 2 months I will move to New York actually. So
oh sweet. Let's see here.
Yeah.
You gonna try for Empire next year?
I've been I've been working my ass off for like 4 months now to try to get in shape. So yes, the short answer is I'm going to try, but we'll see.
Cool.
I think this is hilarious that you're asking us more questions than we're planning on asking you. This is great. This has been great though. Yeah. I love talking about myself. But we have a ton of questions for you, man, and I'm excited to get into it. I don't know who wants to lead it off.
Yeah,
I say Sam or Ryan. You take
I was gonna say we can just start with our general question. Like, do you want to give your Frisbee background? Like, when did you start playing, and like levels and teams you've been on throughout your career?
Yeah, sure. I started way back. I don't remember like actual year I started. I was like in some like church pickup type stuff, like way back in the day before anything really organized, like the classic 20-on-20 barefoot type of a vibe, but kind of like learned to throw when I was like pretty young through that. And then I played 1 year in high school, my senior year. And then I played 5 years at the University of Minnesota. 2016 is when I graduated from there. And I played Sub-Zero from 2015 to 2019, and then Empire from last year and this year, and then Ring of Fire last year. I think that's it. Oh, and Winchell 2017 and 18. Yeah, that's what it was.
I was wondering why. Yeah, how is it that you ended up playing Ring?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird story. So after 2020, after the pandemic, when there was no club season, the AUDL season, like the schedules got kind of mixed around. So I think it was that the AUDL season got pushed back further. Like it started later, so it ended later. So there was like a lot more crossover with club last year. So Pony was they were pretty specific about the number of things that they wanted you to be at. Like specifically for me, who had never played on a team before, they wanted me to be at a number of tournaments and blah, blah, blah. And it kind of was uncomfortable for me because I had already committed a lot of my time. I already said I was going to be at all the Empire games, and I made that a priority for myself. So it's kind of like in this pickle where if I played Pony, I would have to figure out what do I tell Empire? Like I said, I would be at these games now, now I got to miss these. So, and Jagt Williams was in a similar situation. And we were both kind of like conflict diverse people. And we're like, there's another opportunity for us. And the Ring guys, like they love Jagt obviously. And cause he's been a teammate of theirs for forever. And they're like, you guys can like come just to play for Ring after the AUDL's over. Like you don't have to worry about it at all. Just like come down and play the series with us. And then that's what we did. Like we went and lived at Jagt's parents' house in Hickory, North Carolina, and practiced in Raleigh and played the series, and the rest is history. And now this year we're just like, we won. So we kind of felt like we want to run it back and see if we could defend our title.
Right. So you're saying that if Pony eased up on the rules for you two, they would have both of you in addition to their current team.
I think that's pretty likely. Yeah. If they would have probably just let us come play the series, we probably would have played Pony. Yeah.
That's funny.
And it's not like we don't like those guys. Like we play with a ton of them on Empire, and we know all the
Right.
other ones. We're good friends. It was just like I don't know. It was just like a lack of communication, and it was just like awkward. We felt like we were kind of like having our arms twisted a little bit, and we are just like, fuck it, like let's just go play Ring. It seems, and it was like a fun like vacation to get out of the city and go like stay at Jack's parents' house, and they have like a jet ski and stuff. So it was like a little vacation.
Dang.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Okay. Right on.
All right.
Well, I guess kind of going off of this, your career trajectory and your origins, something I've been wondering is there a player you can pinpoint who you watched as a younger player who you admired or wanted to model your game after?
Yeah, I would say that I didn't really I didn't like follow high level Frisbee when I was in college until like my first year of club, which was 2015 on Sub-Zero. I didn't really care much about Frisbee until that year, and I played club, and we went to club nationals, and it was just sick. Like the level was so high, everyone was so much better than me, and then I really got into it. And on that team, Simon Montague and Grant Lindsley were both on that team for Sub-Zero, and they were like the dudes, and they were so good, and they were cool, and I really looked up to them a lot. So those dudes were for sure my first like Frisbee like role models, I would say, and they're both still sick. So that's cool too, and I've got a chance to play against them a lot now, so that's always been fun to match up against them since then.
Nice.
Cool. Looking at like the Empire, I mean, you guys are undefeated this year. Who do you guys kind of like a team full of stars? Like who's the most underrated, or who kind of like does the most for you guys but doesn't really get the credit?
Oh man, it's a good
Or who do you
question.
just want to shout out?
I want to shout out. Let me think. I mean, there's like so many guys. It's like I would like to shout out like basically everyone. There's some like obvious ones. Like first, I'll just say Jack Williams. Like obviously, like he has a lot of clout, obviously, and he's like good. But the funny thing about Jack is that he gets like zero media attention in AUDL because he doesn't put up stats. And like we could open this can of worms later, like how I think about stats and why I think they're like currently they're a very bad metric for like who's actually good at Ultimate.
Interesting.
And like the simplest way to put it is that your stats against like a team like Toronto that we beat 25-8 just doesn't matter. Like when you look at someone's like aggregate stats for the year, and you played Detroit 3 times and you got like +10 each of those games, it just doesn't matter. Like and a lot of times, like when players play in those games, you're not like trying to do a lot. You're kind of deferring to your teammates when you've got a huge lead, or there's a lot. What really matters is like how did you play in the games that are big and matter, and there's high pressure, and if you lose, it's a bad thing. Like that's the only time stats actually matter. And I don't really think that like assists and goals, whatever. Okay. Anyways, I'm getting really sidetracked. What was who am I shouting out? Jack Williams. Okay.
Okay.
Shout out Jack Williams because he's good. John Lithgow, who is obviously super good, but I don't think he gets enough credit because he's like all around like a star. Like he can do it all. He can throw really well. He can obviously like sky people. Who else should I shout out? Ethan Fortin. He's a guy who's probably, you guys don't even know who that is, but he's been like a rock on our D line. He's just been killing it. That's probably the guy that comes to the front of my mind who gets the least amount of attention, but who has been extremely good for us. He's a really, really good defender. And he's been super consistent off turn. He's kind of a workhorse for us on offense after a turn on D line. But you're right. We just have like a trillion stars. Like there's a lot of guys I didn't mention who deserve to be mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, to what you were going on a tangent with, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Like, is there a way to fix the stats? Like we kind of, as a podcast, are not really, we can't watch every single game and every single point. So like we look at teams and their stats, and like, that's kind of like our saving grace for whether or not a team's good or not. Like, is there a way to fix it? How would you just like want to like able to change things?
I think there is a way to fix it. I don't know if it's like feasible, and I don't have all the answers. But I just think there's a lot of things in the game today that aren't measured in any way that are super important.
Yeah.
A lot of times throwing the assist is not the most important pass of the point. For the most part, it's usually not. Like how many times do people when you score, it's like a break to like a really hard break throw, and then the next throw is just like a little dish. Sometimes you get like hockey assists and things like that, but generally there's just so many instances where the real drivers of the offense are not the either goal scorer or the assist. So I don't know how to measure it. Like there's another thing is like it differs a lot based on your role on the field. Like for instance, like for myself, I do look at stats sometimes for my own stats to measure like how I did in a game. And generally it's around like how many completions did I get? And then how many like, receiving yards did I get? Which that's like kind of like a weird thing to like focus in on. But for me personally, I know that my role, if I'm getting cause I'm like a cutter most of the time, if I'm getting a lot of like unders, which means I'm, getting a lot of completions and receiving yards, I know I'm doing my job really well. The other one is just turnovers. Like, I don't think enough is said about turnovers. Like, the only way you lose the game is if you turn it over. Like, if you never turn it over, you're going to win the game. So, like, people who go out there and are like, they're like plus 11 and they've got like 12 assists, but they had like 3 turnovers. I'm like, that sucks. Like, you just let your team, like, you're kind of probably playing a little bit selfish if you have a lot of turnovers like that. So, I really think that is the most important stat to measure is like how many turnovers does a person have. And I know you can be like, well, this person like carries a big load for the team. They want to be shooting, blah, blah, blah. I think that's all just excuses, honestly. Like it's just letting people off the hook. And I really think that if you really want to like elevate your team and your game, you should really focus on not turning the disc over. And that should be like your number one stat that you're tracking.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It was, I was going to say, we recently did like an award episode, and I think it was pretty eye-opening for me trying to decide, okay, which players do we recognize? And we're pouring over the stat sheets, and we kind of got creative with some of our awards. Sam came up with the Underworld Award, which was like most throwing yards with the least receiving, or just like least total yards, I think. And we gave it to Matt Guccio-Hannes because
let's go.
He had negative receiving yards on the season, like negative what, like negative 1,000 or something.
It was like 3,000 throwing yards.
It was like,
and it's like
that's ridiculous.
And it brought down his like season total yards. And he's like kind of very middle of the pack in terms of like total yards because he's losing all these yards. But it just kind of like was eye opening for me because I'm like, okay, we're trying to evaluate these players, but like, this number on the page really doesn't tell the story. Do we look at Matt Guccio-Hannes and say he's a bad player because he has negative throwing yards, like or receiving yards? Like, of course not. Because
think about this. Like Raleigh, they won last year. They beat us in the finals, and their offense was like literally perfect. I think they turned it over like once or twice. But notice how no one on their team ever gets any media attention or awards or anything. Never. Like you probably couldn't name like 4 dudes on their team, but it's not because they're bad, and it's not because they're just a faceless army with depth. It's like, no, dude, they're just like, they play a style of Ultimate where no one person has to do it all. And they just distribute it around, and they all do their roles really well. And it just doesn't lend itself to personal glory. But it's like, if you took Eric Taylor and you stuck him on another team, he would be like the MVP of the league, So I think like individual awards, it's really subjective. I think you probably said that at some point. It's like what you want to make of it. And you got to give them out to someone. And I agree. You probably, awards are not perfectly correlated with who's the best player, and that's fine. It is what it is. But when people kind of like, they look at some of these awards and they say like, oh, the person who wins MVP is the best player in the league. Like, just know that that's probably not true. It's probably, if you win MVP, you probably aren't the best player in the league. Put it that way.
Given how much you seem to know about us, I feel like it's safe to say you did not watch our awards podcast. But
I didn't watch it, but Jeff told me that I won MVP. So.
You did,
yes.
yeah. I did want you to know that. But I mean, a big part of that was turnovers, which is something you were just talking about. Like, is that something you specifically focused on yourself? Because like your numbers, especially with the turnovers, are just insane.
Yeah, it was a really big focus of mine this year. I felt like last year, I don't know if you guys followed the league at all last year, but I was taking more shots last year. And I think I fell into the trap of like thinking like, oh, this is my role. Like it's what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I have a couple turnovers, that's just like part of it. But after last year, and then really honestly, like going and playing for Ring, and just like being a part of that system, I just kind of realized that, no one person has to do it all. Like you should try to play in a way that minimizes your turnovers, because that's what's best for the team. There's balance, obviously, because you got to be dangerous and still attack and stuff like that, and which I try to do. But I definitely was a focus of mine going into the season, to not turn it over as much. And it's like, I don't think I had like a ton of turnovers last year, but I'm always trying to like improve and get better. So I think that was like the most easily tangible thing to work on for myself, is just like be a little bit more conservative with my deep shots, throw less crazy blades, and just like, play within myself a little bit more. So
That's insane you say that, because like, how the fuck did you have a 95% on your hucks and also complete 21 of them? That's ludicrous.
I don't know. Like, see, the thing is like, it never really felt like I was doing anything that hard. Like, I know what my skill set is. I'm pretty good at, I think one of the things I'm best at is like identifying like, oh, that's a thing, that's a shot I can take. Like, that's something that I know I can complete. It also doesn't hurt to like be throwing hucks to like Lithio and Babbitt and Yacht. Like, those dudes bail me out a decent amount. That helps. I'm usually also not the guy who's like shooting the end of quarter shots, which also helps with those stats too. So like Jack is generally the dude lofting it up, and probably his completion percentage of hucks is horrible. That's another reason why stats are like tough. It's like, if you're just like the guy that like shoots the end of quarter stuff, you're kind of fucked. Like, nothing you can really do about it. So
Yeah. I think end of quarter stuff should like be taken out of stats. Like if you have a turnover when there's no time on the clock left, like that shouldn't be a turnover.
yeah, I totally agree. It should be something different, or like maybe you could still record it, but just like maybe have a whole new type of a stat. I don't know. Someone should figure it out.
Speaking of your hucks, I was at the Breeze game yesterday with your teammate Matt Johnson, and
nice.
he told me to ask before you huck it, and you know where you're gonna throw it. Are you looking at your receiver, or are you looking at the space you're throwing it to?
That's a good question. I think I'm trying to like gauge the pace, or like the speed of the person running. Like, I'm trying to like estimate where they're gonna be. I don't really know, honestly. That's like I gotta think about that. Like, I'll go through some bucks and think about it. I don't really know. I think probably I'm looking at the person though. It's
Okay.
both though. You're scanning because you're like, is someone poaching that area? I'm not just like staring at the person. Probably it's likely a combination of both in reality.
Yeah. Well, if you go out and give us some throws, and you can always come back to us and let us know if you land on an answer. And you alluded to this when you're answering the last question, throwing hucks to Jeff Babbitt. If I understand correctly, did he switch over from the D line to the O line this season? Was that a change that was kind of made? How has that impacted your O line?
Yeah, so that was a change we made. We switched him and Yacht. The thinking there was that Jeff is like, he's a much more conservative player with the disc in his hand. And he's generally more passive when it comes to cutting. So Jeff is very opportunistic, and he's highly conscious of like clogging, and he doesn't want to make mistakes throwing. So he's not like the best to be like the engine of a offensive unit. So like, whereas Benny is someone who is much more likely to throw break throws, much more likely to throw hucks, and is totally okay just like going to being the alpha dog and like getting the disc, right? So the thinking there was that Benny could bring a lot more dangerousness to the D line, but then Jeff could be like an unstoppable cutter on our O line, and not have to do too much. And we already have a ton of dudes on our O line who can like really distribute the disc well. Not to say that Jeff can't throw well; he can't. He just chooses not to. It's a gripe I have with Jeff. Sorry, Jeff, if you're hearing this, like, break the bark more. Like, just do it. Yeah. So, and I think it's worked really well. Our D line offense. I mean, we've just been crushing teams this year, and like, Benny is such a menace too. Like, he's just it's really tough for like an offensive unit to like lock him up after a turn, because Ben is such a competitor, and he's just going to work his ass off and get the disc and make things happen. And probably the biggest downfall of Benny's game is that he sometimes he turns the disc over a little too much. He would say that himself. So it's been he's sometimes got a little too loose, I think, on the D line, but it's like, that's fine. Like, we kind of expect that and we want that. And he does hit a lot of them, and he's really dynamic and dangerous in that way. So I think it's just been, we've traded Ben's kind of more like high octane, like dangerous type of stuff. It kind of feels like it's better for a D line anyways, for Jeff's like hyper conservative. Like he's like a auto, I'm going to be open literally no matter what, like try to guard Jeff on an under. Like, it doesn't matter. This dude is like 210 and he's faster than me. It's insane. So it's like, it just made sense, and it's worked. It was a little weird at the beginning because Jeff hasn't played on an O line for a while, but he's fallen right into it, and it's been working really well for us.
Yeah, for sure. He we just, it's kind of been like a running joke just on our Twitter or whatever. But Jeff Babbitt, knowing nothing about him personally, just his style of play, he's a scary man. He is. I would not want him to be my assignment as a defender. So I think putting him on an O-line is just like, yeah, what's up? Like, no, maybe there's some intimidation factor as well working for you guys. So
it's okay. So a couple things about Jeff that are really funny. So first off, Jeff is like the nicest, like sweetest, like soft-spoken dude you'll ever meet. It's crazy. In college, because he was like my same year in college, or like we played against each other in college. He was at UMass, I was at University of Minnesota. We all joked that, like, because we had the same feeling about him when we played against him and didn't know him. We're like Jeff, like they have a ritual. Their team, they bring in a freshman every year, and they just like kill him, and Jeff drinks their blood, and like he gains his strength every year. So we would always make that joke too. And then also, it was also kind of funny. A couple days ago, we were out throwing with we ran into some guys who play for high school, and they were talking to us about Jeff too. They're like, "Oh my God, Jeff, he's such a monster on the field." And I actually convinced them that he used to play like professional basketball in Russia for a couple of years. And like, you can just like, this high school kid now thinks he's out there, and he thinks that Jeff plays in like professional Russian basketball league sometimes. So
honestly, I would believe that.
Yeah. The crazy thing about Jeff is he's like 6'1" or 6'2". Like, you think he's huge and like super tall, but he's
really
not that tall. Yeah.
Huh.
He's
just a wide dude. Yeah. He can just like windmill dunk like it's nothing. It's crazy. He's like he's a man. He's a man playing in a boy sport right now, for real. Like, he could play like he could have played like some D1 sport. Like, this is what like a D1 athlete would look like playing Frisbee.
Yeah. I mean, he's my pick. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has other players, but I think he's the obvious like AUDL player who would probably actually have a shot in the NFL.
Yeah. There's no one
easily.
even close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else. Maybe like D-Rich from like, I don't know. D-Rich is pretty massive too.
Yeah.
You guys know who that is? He plays for the Flyers.
I'm not familiar. We'll have to look. Wait. What's his full name?
It's a good question.
You only know his nickname? Oh,
man.
We can edit that.
I've never played with him. Yeah,
we'll
I've
edit this
never
whole
actually
part
played
out.
with him myself. Yeah.
Okay, so he's not like a teammate on Ring or something, and we just blew
no.
up your spot, not knowing his name.
No.
Okay, cool.
Rich.
David Richardson.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, according to the site, 6'3", 200 pounds. That's pretty big.
He's a good dude.
Okay, that sounds like he'd have a chance. I guess just another player on your team that I'm curious about, mid-season pickup. Can you speak to the impact John Randolph has had on your team?
Dude, JR is so nasty. God damn, he is so quick. It's crazy, man. He also is just like, he's also kind of like a freak of nature in his own way. Like, he's shorter, but the dude is just like, I think he's like 195 and he's like 5'10". He's a dense dude. He's got these like legs that are like,
we've seen him.
Our teammate Mark Lynn calls them meat pistons, and when he's running, he's just like the 8-cylinder just going, man. It's just so we laugh about that. But John Randolph is a machine. So he eats every morning for breakfast. John eats, I think it's 6 eggs and half a can of black beans every morning. Dude, he's not human. Also, another thing, you guys, it's actually great. I'm wearing this shirt. You guys see this shirt?
Yeah.
So
nice.
JR got all of like Pony and Empire on creatine. So like, we're all on creatine. I put on like 5 pounds in the past like 2 months. So you guys want to hack to get more athletic, take creatine.
Well, my
All right,
hack
does
to
it come with
gain-
the shirt?
What's that?
Does it come with the shirt? Because I'm in. If so,
the
it's
shirt,
a cool
the
shirt.
shirts, you got to find on Amazon.
Okay.
Do I also
Got it.
have to work out? Is that required?
Yeah, it is required to work out. Although
tough.
I'll send you guys some articles. Apparently, if you just take creatine, you get like 8 to 10% faster on like full field sprints, or like 7. It's like a what? 5 to 8% faster. There's a bunch of studies on this. I know I probably sound like I'm crazy, but like it's a hack. I think
Wow.
I've never felt like more good. I've never taken like creatine or like protein powder like ever, but
Mhm.
I just have like so much energy now, and I feel like I could just do a lot more, like with lifting too. So if that's not your
Mhm.
thing, I think it can't hurt.
Yeah, I might have
take
to.
it.
Sam, you
pick
gotta
that up.
get creatine and up your black bean intake too.
Yeah, for real. I had honey nut Cheerios this morning, so
Oh,
That is
no.
weak. That is weak. You
it's
guys
good
would
for your
John-
heart. It's
what
good
would
for your
John
heart.
say? John would be disappointed.
I will say, being in Santa Fe, there's like not really an ultimate community here. So I kind of just go like do my field workouts by myself. And there's quite honestly nothing that makes you feel slower than doing a field workout by yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, that's tough. Field workouts. So what do you do? What's a field workout look like for you?
It's changed. Yeah, I change it pretty often, but usually it's just like various different sprinting drills. Some of them changing direction, some of them just like shuttle.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten I don't love those workouts myself. I've gotten into running stairs recently, and that's been I don't know. It's kind of
Oh.
similar, but I feel like I can get through it faster. And since it's stairs, it's like harder. So
Mhm.
I can do the work faster and get it over with faster, but it's still super, super hard. So
Yeah.
that's my secret. So, and because there's just like not field space in New York anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess you have to get kind of creative sometimes to figure out ways to kind of get the workout in.
For sure. I mean, I'm just usually workouts, there's like a couple of them. It's lifting, throwing. Luckily, I live like right next to a nice park, so I can throw pretty easily. I live with Ben Jagt, so we just go out and throw all the time. And then the stair workout. Those are really the only things I do.
Nice. Well, I guess I was gonna ask just throwing specific. I mean, I'm sure I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm sure, but on the off chance that there's like, a high school player listening to this right now, what is Ryan Oscar's advice on how to get good at throwing?
Okay. Do you guys edit this stuff out, or?
Yeah,
Like,
we can.
yeah,
edit.
we can.
We can. We
Okay,
can.
the actual answer is that if you want to get good at throwing, and you will become so much better at Frisbee. All right.
Wow.
So that's actually what I did, and it worked really well. All right. So anyways, back to the real question. So what I would do is there's two things that I would say. The first is just go out with a throw in mind that you want to get better at, like whether it be like an outside in flick cut or whatever, just like something that you want, like a tool you want to add to your toolkit. That's how I think about it. It's like every throw is like a tool, and like pick one and then just do it a million times until you can do it better. Essentially, that's what I do. I still do that today, and it's like, there's like some throw I'm trying to work on right now. I'm like trying to get some of like high release lefties in my game and stuff like that. So I just do it a bunch, and it's not like I do it every single throw, but it's I'm going to throw it at a higher percentage than every other throw I'm throwing. So just being intentional about what you're trying to improve on, I think is really, really important. And I'm like a big proponent of setting goals for yourself and being intentional about doing them. So just pick something and really work at it. Don't just go out there and just go throw casually, actually put in the work, make yourself sweat when you're throwing. That's how you're going to get better, is if you really put in the work while you're practicing. And then the other one that's easy to do, you need 3 people to do it though, is just play 3-man mark. Really get competitive, find 2 people that are also competitive and play 3-man mark. And generally what I do when I play that is it's like a game to 21. You get 3 points if you hit them perfectly in the chest, 2 points if they can catch it without stepping, 1 point if you can catch it while stepping, and then -1 if you don't complete it. And then the marker gets +1 if you get a hand one. And you just play that and you get competitive, and that will make your marking so much better, because if you do that like 3 or 4 games, the people marking you know all your tricks. You have to find something else to do. You have to get creative. You have to push yourself to be better. Otherwise, you're just going to get hand blocked like every single time. So those are really the things that when I look back on the last 10 years of playing, like those are the things that I think have really pushed me forward to become a better thrower.
Nice. I guess kind of going off of, you know, these types of drills, working with teammates. If you could pick anyone in the AUDL to be your 2v2 mini partner, who would it be and why?
Jack Williams. And because he's so nasty in small spaces, he's got all the throws. We have great chemistry already. I think me and Jack could probably clean up the league in a 2v2 league, honestly.
Okay. Well, everyone, you heard it here first. If you want to challenge Ryan Osgar and Jack Williams, I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, we'll put it on. We'll put some cameras.
Mhm.
Just walk to the field. Anyone who wants to show up.
Who do you guys? Who could beat us? Who do you guys think could beat us?
Oh man,
right?
That's a fun one.
JR and
I was thinking JR and someone.
JR is good. JR is nasty.
JR and Babbitt. I don't know. Okay, we're non-Empire. Let's go non-Empire. Oh man. Mini. I feel like Mini. There's a very like particular set of skills that really lends to many, as opposed to like.
What's the field dimensions? Are we talking here? Is like pretty small end zones?
Good question.
Pretty small field.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would say
our friend of the
6
pod,
yards.
James Pollard, is pretty tall. That's a pretty good teammate.
Yeah, he'd be probably pretty tough to stop.
He'd be solid. I think one of those like DC handlers would be kind of sick, like a Zach Norbaum. That dude has probably played so much mini in his life.
I bet Rowan would be really good too.
Yeah. Rowan.
He's got a lot of really crafty throws. He's really good at small space stuff.
He's got 80 throws.
Yeah, it's really fun watching him and Malks throw back and forth.
Yeah, those dudes are good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, actually, what are your thoughts on next week?
You know, it's kind of, I was expecting it. Like, Philly was better this year than they've been in the past, for sure. But I didn't think they had a chance against DC. Realistically, like as long as DC didn't play horribly, they were going to win. I mean, Philly's offense is just too volatile. Like, you can't just huck it every time and expect to win a game. You can't. It's just not how Frisbee is played at the high level. So, and their defense can't punch and breaks ever. So it's just a tough combo. Like I didn't watch the games where they were like close with DC. I assume DC just played bad because they won by like 5, right? And so they must have played better. Yeah. So anyways, in the first quarter, I was like, yeah, man, this is a game. Like DC keeps like turning it over on the end zone line, throwing like stupid scoobers. But they must have cleaned it up. So anyways, I was expecting DC to win. We know them super well. I'm not surprised. I'm not going to be surprised by anything. It's just going to be, like what our last 2 games against them have been. It's like, they've got some schemes. We kind of know what to expect when it comes to the schemes they're going to run against us. It's really just comes down to, can we execute and play a decent game? I have total confidence that we have more talent than them and we're a better team than they are. And that's, I mean, we have a lot of respect for them too, right? We're not underestimating them at all. And, we know they're a good team and we know that they can beat us. But if they're going to come into this thinking that like, Empire thinks they've got it wrapped up. It's like, no, we're preparing hard and we're taking it very seriously. And, we're all just really amped to play this game. The thing that I love about Empire and a bunch of guys on this team is that there's a lot of guys who have been in really high pressure situations and games, and no one's afraid, and that's like what we play for. I bet there's a lot of guys out there this past yesterday that were like just like so thrilled to be in this game, but like this is like literally the thing that we're all addicted to. There's like a bunch of guys on this team, and we talk about this all the time, how like the only reason we play the sport is for games that matter, like games that are like elimination. So we're going to be coming in like hot. We're going to be coming in intense, and I think we're going to end up winning that game by 4 or 5 probably.
Okay.
My prediction.
Love that. Love the confidence. I guess a follow-up to that is let's not presume that you're going to be in the finals, but let's just say what is of all the remaining teams, what team would you be the most afraid of facing, whether it's like you don't think you match up well or like their talent level is, closest to being on par with you guys? What's the one team that matchup would scare you the most?
Yeah. I mean, I got to go with the Flyers, honestly, because they beat us last year. We know those guys super well. Me and Jack play with that whole team. We just did. So we know that they're going to, and Mike D is an extremely good coach. He's a super high level coach. So we know he's going to come at us with a really, really good strategy. I wouldn't say we're scared of them. I would say that they probably are the best matchup for us. It's hard for me to say because we haven't played against any of the West Coast teams. Yeah. We haven't played against Chicago. I have no idea what to think about Chicago. I know a bunch of guys on the team are legit. Like Pavel's super good, Paul's super good. A bunch of the guys, Ross super good. All these dudes, they have a really good roster. I even mentioned Nate Goff, who's really nasty too. So I mean, they're a super good team. It's just so hard for me to get a read on them because they're playing in the Midwest division, and I could say this, I played in that division for a long time. It's just it's not the same, and it's kind of awkward this year because the East is it was kind of shit this year too, where it wasn't super competitive for most of the games we played. So it's I mean, whatever. I think that the wind chill are quite good this year, and I think that if Chicago can kind of put a beating on the wind chill and beat them by 4 or 5, I'll be okay, they could really pose a serious threat to us. But I'm not really scared of Colorado or Salt Lake. I think they just turn it over too much. It's not going to work. If you turn it over 10 times against us, we're going to break 8 times and you're going to lose the game. That's just the way it's going to go. I think that both Chicago and Carolina can play a really clean game, which you have to do against us to win. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I want to ask about the Ottawa game earlier this season where Ottawa came out strong and was leading for some of the first half. What was going through your guys' mind for that?
It was just it's just a classic, we're just kind of coasting really. We started the game. I think it was pretty windy that game too, if I remember correctly. So I think, we had a bunch of chances to break. We didn't punch them in, whatever. And we're all just kind of flat. It's one of those games where we know we're going to end up winning this game. So no one really wants to try that hard. And then you see in the second half, we turn it on. We can turn it on when it matters. And we're we're down at half or whatever. It was tied at half or whatever. And we're just okay, let's take this a little bit more seriously and win. So that's kind of what I was saying before too. We got guys who know how to compete. And when the moment comes, there's a level that none of us have probably shown it all this year yet, other than maybe some moments. We haven't really been tested that much. I think in some of the DC games it was really close, and then we kind of pulled away at the end, but it was probably closer than the score showed. So I think those games were really a big challenge, but that's 2 out of 12 games. So I think that come playoffs you're going to see an entire another level of the Empire, and I think that's probably what came out briefly in the second half of that Ottawa game.
That's scary.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
Do you think having more divisional crossover would kind of, I mean, obviously I think it would benefit the league. Would you have liked to play some of those teams in the West or in the Central this season? And how do you think moving forward, how would you propose that could work? What do you think as a player, do you want to really be flying out to, San Diego or whatever? Probably not, but what's your, do you think there's a way to balance that?
So if I had if the league had unlimited money, what I would say is you cut the bottom 10 teams from the whole division. You just take them away, or you have them in how soccer does. You've got the top division and then you have the bottom division, and you would do it that where the bottom division teams, the top 2 would make it into the for the next year would make it into the top tier, and the bottom 2 would make it drop down. I just think it's such a waste of time. It's a waste of our time to go up to Canada and play 2 teams. And not that I don't want to be talking these teams that much. I think they're really young and they have got good players, blah, 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 all the good stuff. But realistically, if we're beating a team by 20 points, I don't want to do that on the weekend. I want to play a competitive game. So I think any way that you can make the league more competitive is better for everybody. And obviously that's really hard right now because there's not unlimited money. You can't fly everyone everywhere and match up these teams in this way. But I think last year when the divisions were drawn a little differently, the East division, like the super division, was sick. Like it was just really a lot of fun to have Atlanta and North Carolina in our division. That was awesome. Those teams were really good. So that was a lot more. I think the regular season last year was a lot more fun because it was a lot more competitive. So anything that you could do to increase that, I think it'd be super fun to get more cross divisional games. I just know it's like a logistical nightmare to do that. So I don't know how realistic it is. But yeah, I think, what do you guys think? Do you think that like having the like upper division, lower division would be sick? Like, wouldn't that be sick? Like you got to make it into the top tier.
I think we do a tier list like every week, and like the bottom 10, like you were saying it, like the bottom 10 teams like have no shot against the top 20 teams.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're so right in that way that like Detroit, like watching Detroit play Minnesota, like when it was super windy, it was like watching one team that like knows how to throw in the wind and one team that just doesn't. And like how are they both professional teams?
Oh yeah, there it
Is
is.
this where we finished?
Let's see this.
This is where
Why don't we
ended,
give us like take a glance. This is where we landed at the end of the season. Would be very curious to see what you think about it.
And at first glances, it seems pretty intuitive and makes sense.
Anything that stands out that like, oh, this team's actually trash or this team's pretty good?
It's tough for me to say because I haven't played against these teams, so I don't really know. I'm a little bit suspect of like the Radicals in the C tier, but I see they're at like the bottom of the list. I also think that
it
like
goes left to right.
I also think that like, left to right. That makes sense. I don't know. I think this is pretty good. Look at all those East Division teams in the D&E. It's hard to argue against it, honestly.
Okay, love that. Means we're doing something right.
I think that the Thunderbirds would get smashed by the Glory. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, is it
Glory home or
is it
Glory
home or
away?
away? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Like if they traveled to Pittsburgh with none of their own. Do you guys see that game? Boston came to play us, and they didn't bring they brought like one of their 7 O-line starters. It's like,
oh no,
it's like disrespectful. It's like, it's like hard for us to like get like focused and amped about this game when they're just like not even trying. I mean, the guys in the field are trying, but it's just like
we talked about that all year. We were like, okay, like if you have their whole team, they're maybe C tier, but like if you just average out, like they're either F tier or C tier, like So we gave them like you're at least E tier because you don't even try sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this seems legit. I mean, it's so hard for me to say. You guys honestly probably know better than I do because it seems like you guys watch more than I do. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Summit. I'm not gonna lie. Like they just have they have too many turnovers, and I know that come playoffs. Like I played with Nut before, and like I know that he knows how to play a version of Ultimate that isn't high turnover. And like I'm sure once playoff comes, that's going to be the version of John we get. So they'll probably be very good. But I don't know. I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched a single game of theirs. So it's like really hard for me to know. All I've done is like flip through the stats a little bit, and I just see that they have just a ton of turnovers, and that's like automatically a red flag for me. Honestly, I think that the Breeze could potentially be better than both the Union and the Summit. I'm not going to lie. Again, it's like super hard for me to say, honestly. I have a lot of respect for the Breeze.
Interesting. Yeah. I think you're a proposal. We didn't address it a ton, but I think it's really fascinating having like that kind of soccer style. I guess my one kind of hang up on that is like, I think one of the reasons why there's not as much parity is because some teams like your team have owners that are willing to pay their players better or like can draw talent to their team in that way. And that kind of makes things a little lopsided. And I guess, it's in the real world, I can't just snap my money and make every AUDL owner, want to like, have bidding wars on players and like, have more competition to like sign a free agent player. But I feel like that would help a lot. But just, I guess as it stands now, when there's like, 3-4 teams that are like down to do that, and then the rest of the teams, then it's just we're gonna have an empire tier, and we're gonna have a mechanics tier.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, I guess it's just the issue of having like a small, relatively new league. It's like you just are gonna have this parity like this, and also I think that there's just some cities that just don't have a lot of ultimate talent, and it's not like there's going to be a lot of homegrown talent, ever. And also, it's not like a destination city where people generally will move to, like Chicago or New York or something like that. People generally tend to move to anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in, right? You got to somehow, bring people up through your system and somehow keep them in your city. It's really tough to do that. Like somehow North Carolina is the only city really that's been able to do that successfully thus far and be very successful at the highest level. So I don't really know what to do about it.
I kind of like the idea of having the upper and lower levels, like especially because it's not a sport with a draft where like these terrible teams get the best draft picks, and so they can like be bad for a few years, but they've got a good future.
Right.
They're probably just gonna stay bad, and I feel like the upper and lower divisions works well in like soccer.
Yeah,
and it's similar in that regard.
I was just gonna say, I think it'd be good for the teams too, because you would play against teams more, closer in your skill level. Like the downside is you don't get to play against better teams, and that's probably generally where you become better the fastest, perhaps. But also, I don't know if that's true if you're just getting blown out. And the other issue is that, teams are not going to fly, across the country. Like Tampa's not going to play Detroit, 4 times a year. It's just not going to happen. So
on
it's
that
kind of a
subject,
fantasy.
I don't know if you saw this, but we had a petition started a few weeks ago, and I think we got how many signatures did we get on that petition? Close to like 150.
Well over 100.
And it was to have Detroit play Tampa at championship weekend.
Wait, did Tampa win again? They won a game.
Tampa beat Legion.
They did. Okay.
Yeah. And Legion beat Tampa.
So for a while we had them at the bottom 2 tiers. But then when Tampa won a game, it's like,
I don't think, like, even if they didn't win, there's no, Detroit is on a whole nother level, man. I haven't played against these teams, but in a while, so I don't really know. But every time I look at like a stats thing from the Detroit, it's like they have like 30 turnovers a game, more than that sometimes. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how that's even possible.
We had an award where it was just like, do you follow football at all?
A little bit, not really.
Basically, Jameis Winston had a season where he had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, and like both of those numbers are very high. So we were all right, the Jameis Winston Award. So like the nominees were like Nut and Joe Cubitt, and somebody else, and we gave to Joe Cubitt, and like Joe Cubitt he had like 45 turnovers, and he was like second in the league behind like his teammate who had 47.
Yeah, Walsh had a couple more than him.
Oh my god.
Stuff.
Cubitt's a funny dude. I don't know if you guys have talked to that guy. He's a pretty funny guy.
We should bring him on.
Yeah, I'd love to get him on.
He has his own podcast.
No shit.
I did not know
I did
that.
his podcast earlier.
Is it Frisbee?
Yeah, it's Frisbee. It's Frisbee related.
Dang, we gotta bring him on.
You guys, I think you guys probably have more following than he does now. You guys are getting like petition signed and all this shit. Like,
oh man. The last thing I wanted to say about the like kind of soccer proposal that you had was I think your opinion as a player does carry a lot of weight, and the fact that you're like, I don't want to fucking like, play this Boston team that doesn't care, or like, I don't want to. And I think maybe having those like mid-level teams kind of duke it out, and then having the higher level teams more consistently playing each other. I mean, I think that kind of drives the product a little bit, because you're having like games that are a little more interesting to watch. Like, I don't really want to watch you guys shit on Ottawa, twice a year.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I that's a really interesting proposal. I do think it's worth thinking. I think the league is in just such a like the beginning stages. I think we're in like the dark ages of Ultimate as a sport in a lot of ways. And
totally.
I would really like to see the league experiment and just try different things and seeing what works. Because I think they have kind of now's the time to do that, I guess.
Ryan, how do you feel about a potential 2-point line?
I think it'd be sick. I mean, I have no idea, honestly. I would want to like beta test it or something.
Yeah.
Seems cool though. Like, why not? Like, I think it'd be pretty sick. What do you think? Like, where would you put it? Like at the break or at the end zone line or something?
It's a good question. Because I mean, you see dudes ripping 80-yard hucks, so I feel like it should be pretty far back.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's a good question.
I wonder how that would change the game. Isn't that such a fun thing to think about? Like, you know, would a teams just try to do that a lot? Like, it's like, what's the risk reward ratio there?
Yeah,
I mean, it would really put a lot of value on people. Like, it wouldn't be great for me because I don't throw big hucks like that. Like, it would really like put a lot of stock. People who can throw it really far, and then receivers who can like really get big. I wonder if like teams would just like start pulling out the side every single time at like the, you know, a little bit before that, and then teams like dump it backwards.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, especially if you're down by 1, like, would you try to pull it to like 30, like only try to pull it like 10-15 yards? They have to work it like all the way back if they want to try to take a lead or like tie it if they're down by 2.
Or what if you had like a circle, like a specific spot, like not necessarily a line across the field, but like there's certain areas where it's like, oh, here's like from this side of the field and this side of the field. So it's not like you have to like really get it in this one spot. I don't know if that would make it even harder.
That'd be interesting.
I think rules like this are cool. Like, I think the league should be experimenting with this kind of stuff. And I don't know, like maybe do like a showcase game or whatever, and like try to do this, because I think it would make it more interesting. Honestly, I think there's a problem with Ultimate being a little bit stagnant and boring when the game isn't close, and there needs to be a better comeback mechanic, really, because on the field it's too big. It's like a huge field. So it's really hard for defense. So if you get up a couple breaks, it's like really hard to come back a lot of the times. You got to make a miraculous comeback if you've let up a couple. So I know, like, when people I know go to games, they come to like Empire games and we're up by like 4, they're checked out. They are checked out. They're at the beer tent, not even paying attention to the game, you know? So I think it'd be better. I mean, I don't know if it would actually be, I'm such like stuck between opinions here, because I am somewhat of a purist, and I do like Club Ultimate, and I like the, you know, something about like, I like calling around fouls, and I also like refs. Like, I was just at Club Worlds, and it was like so tedious, and it was really refreshing to get back to just like AUDL, when it's like you don't have to think about any of this. But there is like the negative side is like you get hacked and you don't get foul, there's no foul call. That's like, there's nothing more frustrating than that. Like having a turnover caused because someone like smacked your arm throwing and it doesn't get called. So I mean, anyways, I think the easiest thing to fix, like rules wise, is like just make the field normal club size. I think it would make the defense a lot easier, a lot better, and just like, I don't know, like deal with the lines, or like just build your own freaking Ultimate Stadium. Let's just do that instead.
I cannot wait for the day.
We've talked a lot about that.
We have talked at length about that. I can't wait for the day where like every team has their home stadium and we're not playing on fields with like 90 different lines. Because I know you didn't. You mentioned that you didn't really watch a lot of Summit games, but there was one game this season where the Summit had the disc, and basically if they just got off one more pass, they would have iced the game. There was like 12 seconds left, and Nut just like, he thought he was in bounds and he ran and just like caught it, and then they're like, "You're just like so out of bounds right now," like, because there's just like all kinds of lines on the field, like he thought he was in bounds. I don't know. It would. I think we need to figure that out and maybe get some more Ultimate Stadiums. I mean, again, it's like, if I could snap my fingers and make the world that way, I would. But you know,
our buddy Everest on the Aviators also, he injured himself because he kind of looked like he was trying to do a toe drag and stay in bounds when he had like a lot of room. And he turned his ankle and was out for the rest of the season.
No, jeez, sucks.
That's what derailed his rookie campaign.
At the Summit games, there's like a hard white line, and then the 6 yards out of it is like a faded white line, and the hard white line is just like a soccer thing that has nothing to do with it. And stuff.
That's tough. I mean, I get why it is the way it is. Like, they need somewhere to play. You can't just like play in some field somewhere, you know? So I don't know what the solution is there. It's tough, but I think that, I mean, you know, at some of those, like, I was gonna say, like, at some of the like club events or whatever, they have the tape that you like roll across or whatever. But again, I understand that it's like for the viewers. You know, you don't want to confuse the viewers, and it's like it's like a company, it's a business. They don't care about the players, they care about like the viewers. So I get it. It just sucks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, does anyone else have anything? I mean, I've kind of
I've got a pressing question. I don't know how much time you have, so I want to make sure to get this off before you have to go. But I wanted you to rate Ben Jagt as a roommate.
What are my metrics? What am I? Just in general?
I don't know. We can discuss. I was thinking cleanliness, obviously, maybe you know, is he nitpicking about like, oh, I bought this, like you have to pay me for half of it, like, you know, stuff like that.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I would say Ben is a fairly clean roommate. My biggest gripe is that he leaves too. Ben, there's this amazing bakery down the street from us, and he always gets a baguette from there like every other day, and he always cuts it up and leaves his crumbs all over the counter. That's the only gripe on the cleanliness. Other than that, he's very clean.
Okay.
I'm pretty uptight and pretty clean myself, so I put my standards are probably a little bit high. I mean, I'm complaining about a couple crumbs on the countertop, but other than that, he's great. We're both like super chill when it comes to our space, and like, you know, we're not like having raging parties over here. And so yeah, we've lived together for 2 years now at this apartment, and we lived for a year together before with when I first moved to New York. I lived with Gibran. You guys maybe know who that is. He's an Empire guy. He's a Pony guy too. And then Josue Aloro, who played Empire last year. So I lived with Ben for 3 years now, and it's been great. Like I've really enjoyed it. He's been an awesome roommate, and we went to college together. You guys probably know that. We played together in college, and we've just been really good friends for a really long time. So he is moving out though, not necessarily on his own accord, but my girlfriend's moving in, so he's relocating.
Wow. Well, congrats on that big life step. Who would you take, Jack Williams's family or Ben Jagt, if you could just snap have a new roommate?
Oh my god. Oh man. I mean, Jack Williams' family is pretty sick. Like they're very nice. Like there's just like such like Southern nice people. Like they were like, I couldn't believe it. Also, speaking of Jack's family, I'm going down to North Carolina again after the AUDL season and doing like the whole thing again. But this time I'm staying with his sister at their, like she's married and has 2 kids, blah, blah. And they, like, I was like, yeah, I might like get an Airbnb. I was like texting her and I was like, I might get an Airbnb. And she was like offended that I wasn't going to stay with her. I was like, whoa, I'm just like, I'm not trying to impose on you. But she was like, no, you're staying with us. Like, they're just like that nice. Jack's the same way. They're just like very, very nice people. And they got the jet ski, and man, they got a sick house in the lake.
That tips the scale a little bit.
Ben doesn't have a jet ski. Let me get Ben in here. Hey, Ben. Oh, Ben, you want to come on this? Yeah, you want to come on this podcast? All right, come over here. All right, I got Ben. He's coming.
All right, beautiful.
Friend of the pod now.
Here, I got my AirPods on. One second. You want one? Maybe you take one.
Sure. All right. Well, interesting. I got the black.
Yeah, my other one's broke. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah. Kinda, yeah. Hey.
How's it going?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Ben Jagt, thanks for this impromptu joining the pod here. Appreciate having you.
No problem. What's the name of your guys' pod?
I'm open.
I'm open.
Can we get a little just say your name and say I'm open just for the pod?
Fans.
For the fans. The fans love it.
Yeah, the fans. All right. I'm Ben Jagt and I'm open.
That was so good.
Ben, I got a pressing question. We asked Ryan this. Rate Ryan as a roommate.
Oh,
like
8.5
cleanliness,
out of 10.
just everything. Well, you can, yeah. What did you say?
8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
That's really high. I mean, objectively
rate me?
speaking,
I didn't say out of 10. All I said was that you leave crumbs in the couch sometimes.
But Ryan also leaves dishes in the sink sometimes.
Yeah.
We're very
Tough.
compatible.
I was guilty.
I let him soak.
I was guilty of doing that, and then I realized that really pissed people off, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta stop doing that." And I still do it, but I do it less than I used to. So
I definitely do it sometimes too. But I try to every time I have, the dishwasher isn't empty or isn't full or clean, then I'll try to put it in there. But
there you go. Ben, I guess I've got a question for you. Your kind of signature number has been 69.
I was going to ask that too.
Yeah. Can you?
He's got it on his shorts right this moment.
Yeah, that's the shorts reminded me. I know. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, what's up with that? What's the story there?
Yeah, it's nice because it looks the same when I'm looking down at it.
Okay.
No, so that and Jared Allen, who was a Minnesota Vikings player, is like a real man's man. He's like a legend of him like killing a deer with a spear. Like he was 69, he had his big mustache, and he was cool. So I thought I would try it when I moved out to New York.
Also, it's funny.
Yeah, also it's funny.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a sexual.
Why?
You guys know?
Why don't you wear it for Empire?
Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah. So my mom won't wear my jersey if it's 69. So she would actually wear my jersey sometimes when she comes to my games.
That's
so
amazing.
funny.
And I got an MVP in 69, and then I got an MVP in 4. So maybe I should change. I'll get another one because Ryan's probably gonna win MVP of the AUDL this year.
I was gonna say, have you guys talked about how your apartment might be the totally AUDL MVP apartment now if Ryan takes it this year?
Well, unfortunately, Ryan's gonna move out as soon as the AUDL championship is over, so we probably won't actually be living together by the time he wins it. So
Interesting.
Over.
Ryan said
I'm going to
moving
North
out.
Carolina. He is, but I'm going to North Carolina.
yeah, I'm moving out like November 1st, but he's gonna be in
Gotcha.
North Carolina from like the end of the beginning of September through.
Nice.
We did our awards last week, and Ryan did win our MVP. So
Very
there's
nice.
one award at least.
Okay.
The one that matters.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm open MVP. Ryan Osgar.
You heard it here first. Yeah, Ben, I got a question for you. We touched on it and Ryan talked about it a little bit, but what's it been like playing on the D line this year?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess not unexpected. It's been really fun. I guess I've developed a bit of a reputation for talking a lot of shit at practice. Usually it's when I'm provoked. I'm not typically just berating the D line after, for no reason. But earlier in this year, a couple folks on the D line were talking some smack, and because we were down on offense, and so I let them hear it. I was like, all right, you'll see, watch it, and we came back. But then after I switched to D line, I realized I was sort of punching down a lot of times because a lot of D lines. You get a lot of false negatives and some false positives from D lines, which make it harder to actually assess your growth as a line.
Right.
On offense, if one person slacks, it's not a big deal. 2 people slacks, it's fine. But if 2 people are slacking on defense, or even one person has a lapse, they're not even fully slacking, but there's a small lapse in concentration, they get scored on, and then it's like, well, they sort of negated everyone else's efforts just from that little bit of, lacking concentration, and they, cost everyone.
That's why O-line is so much more fun.
Yeah, O-line is really fun, but D-line also has its own virtues. Like when you're able to get a bunch of breaks and win games for your team, or come up with a big break in a clutch moment, that's pretty fun too, because you win games on defense and lose games on offense.
Right.
Earlier, we talked a lot about issues with statistics, but mostly offensive statistics. And I also have a lot of issues with defensive statistics, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that, or changes you think could help.
Oh yeah, I mean, virtually none.
There's no statistics.
Statistic is D's, and
Yeah.
that's about as like rough as you can get. If you touch it, that works. If we could get stats that are like in the NFL where your person got thrown to X amount of times when you were guarding them, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Or, or like when you're in that area or something for zone defense, how often are people getting thrown to in your area, or just anything basically would be useful. But
Yeah.
right now Ryan has said this in the past. It's like we need a Moneyball moment where we figure out stats that are actually meaningful, and then we can use those to inform our decisions. But right now it's basically just hype. It's like, this guy's good. So
I think we need to we need to identify the things that matter in Frisbee, like defensively, like a team like pressure defense on the handlers that leads to a throwaway, but it's not a block. Like that just goes into the void today.
Yeah.
Right. But that is like truly the measure of like a good defender.
Yeah.
So like identifying what those moments are that are pivotal in a game, and then like figuring out the stats that could somehow measure it. And like we probably don't have the money and technology to measure all of it today, but I think there's just such a like, especially on defense, there's just this giant void of value that is not being measured today. And it's measured by like dudes who like swat away an end of quarter. Oh, they're the best defenders in the world. It's like they're not.
Yeah, somebody has 18 Ds because they got 12 and a quarter Ds.
Yeah,
that's not that big a deal. The other thing is the majority of Ds in the AUDL are like throwaways. It's almost impossible.
Turns. Majority of turns are throwaways.
Yeah. It's almost impossible to get like a layout under unless you're trying really, really, really hard and you happen to be in the right place at the right time. But in general, like players of this caliber, if they are worth their salt, will be able to get throw to open players. And if they're not making decision errors, then defenses should never be able to take it away just because the field is so big.
Yeah.
So all that to say, almost none of the stats are useful the defensive stats are useful because we're not seeing like pressure coverage sacks or anything showing up in the stats.
Yeah. I don't think this would necessarily help with defense per se, but in baseball, they figured out, like, since you guys brought up Moneyball, this actually just reminded me, they have a formula for runs created. Like you can look at all the runs a team scored over the course of a season, and they actually figured out a formula to explain that number. And not only does it tell you like what is important to create runs, but it also weights them, so like whatever, like batting average is more important than, whatever else it may be. And I think Frisbee could really benefit from figuring out like a goals created formula.
Yeah.
And it could tell you like, what are the things that lead to goals being scored. And I think it would be different in the AUDL because of the like clock element, but I think people need to get on that. People that are smarter than me need to, I don't know, get Daniel Cohen in here or something, but someone's got to figure out a goals created formula. Cause I think that would kind of help out with like this kind of, even though we have a bunch of stats available, I feel like we're very much in like the dark ages of understanding like Frisbee statistics and stuff.
Yeah,
so
totally agree. I think another fun stat would be wins above replacement, which is a baseball stat, which would be super fun to see like who's actually, providing benefit or value to the team.
Another one I think is like there should be some way to like weight stats based on the opponent you're playing.
Oh yeah.
That's like a no-brainer. Like,
I also
based on the opponent's record or something like that, you should weight the stats or something like that.
So we've I don't know how widely listened to your podcast is, so this might piss some people off, but like
not very much.
About, like, okay, great.
This is gonna be huge, Ben. Don't piss anyone off.
All right, whatever. I don't care. I don't mind ruffling a few feathers. But we've talked about like if Ryan was playing in the Midwest.
Oh, here we go.
With like a decent crew of people around him, he would have a million stats. If I had been playing in the Midwest on a team that was playing Detroit 3 times, 4 times a year, I would hazard a guess that I would have 100 or 200 more goals, which is no coincidence that Cameron Brock, who's a very talented scorer, has that many goals because he's playing Detroit and Cincinnati, who was like god awful frequently. And then Pittsburgh, and then that division hasn't won since Madison won, and Madison was a very, very good team, but when we played Indianapolis in the semifinals in 2018. They were terrible. So, kudos to them for winning the division that year. And, they deserve to be there and everything. But there are certain divisions that just aren't as strong. And granted, this year, our division, we don't have the stiffest competition top to bottom. So, Ryan racks up 10 assists against Philly. Like, they're a playoff team, though. And, like, there's other teams that aren't as good. So I think we're waiting to see, like, the whole level of the league level up. And then stats will be more meaningful in that regard.
Mhm.
Since you mentioned his name, and you were wondering who listens to the podcast, I should let you know that Cam Brock does listen to the podcast. In fact, he is a friend of the pod. So if he comes, if he comes to you asking about that, just don't be surprised. But
and I'm not saying I would be the all-time leading scorer. He's, there's something to be said for maintaining your health and, like, scoring a lot. And like I said, I don't want to take anything away from him, but, like, a lot of players would be scoring a lot more in different scenarios.
Yeah,
but
and
Cameron, his status as, like, a Hall of Famer as far as the AUDL goes is well deserved, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you definitely have a position to speak to goals scored specifically, because I think if there's a current player who has a shot at the title, I think you would definitely be up there. Maybe switching to the D line changes things here and there, but
he's got like 200 more goals than me. I'd have to play like 4 seasons at the current clip, the last several seasons clip I've had.
That's crazy.
And he would have to stop playing right now. So I think it's very unlikely, but
he would have to stop playing, even though he just led the league in goals again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do either of you guys have a favorite moment from the season, on or off the field?
Colombia.
Yeah.
Colombia ruled.
Yeah.
So sick,
fun.
man. That was amazing.
It was just like a week of hanging out in, very tight quarters. It's kind of like spring break for the pro season. It was so fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have a buddy on the Aviators, and I heard some crazy things about what was going on the night before some of these games were being played. So I was shocked. But it seemed like, did you guys get up to anything nefarious while you were down there? Or?
Nothing too bad. I mean, like, people went out to, like, bars and stuff, but
okay.
Nothing.
I think not the one thing that we could, like, the best. This is like the worst thing. It's not even that bad. It's maybe just a little PG. At some point, this woman was hitting on a couple of our players, and one of our teammates told her that we were all gay, and she had this, like, moment of realization, which is not true, but we were all, like, hanging out with our shirts off, in the pool.
Yeah.
And she like showed up a little later and was like, "Oh, you are all gay." And then she walked away.
Yeah.
That was really funny, I think.
Nice.
But we let her down easy.
We were pretty lame though. Like, we were staying at this, like, giant hostel type thing, but it was like it was just us, and there was, like, a security guard there the entire time. And he was just very disappointed in us, because Colombia, you guys probably know what it's famous for in that time, and we were not doing anything like that. And he was trying to hook it up for us, like, all the time. And he would see us coming back at, like, a reasonable, like, we'd come back at, like, midnight, and you would just see him just be like, "Oh my God, these guys, like, they're just, like, so lame." Like,
we'd have, like, a wild time. We'd have, like, 4 drinks or something.
Yeah.
And have a great conversation.
And then go home and sleep. And he was like, "It's the night's just starting." Like, he was so disappointed in us. But
that's funny.
So you guys were not hanging out with the Aviators, I can tell.
we ran into them at dinner once. We did run into some of the other guys at dinner. They were getting rowdy, and it was like 8 p.m. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's unsurprising.
So our buddy plays for them. So when they came here and played the Summit, Sam and I kind of hosted them for a little bit. They had a flight at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and they were in my apartment drinking until 5 a.m.
Oh my
Like,
God.
loud,
How old are
like-
these guys? I would die.
Like
I
in
would
their
literally die.
20s.
Well,
Some of them were in
We're in
their
our
30s. Some of them were in their 30s.
Yeah, someone had a kid.
Yeah.
The glory days, man.
What a legend, man.
Why let them in when you're in college? Have a kid, keep going.
Yeah. Oh man.
How you guys preparing for your game this week?
Just throwing a bunch. We got practice on Wednesday. Probably get a lift in tomorrow.
I did a bunch of slacklining today, but I think most of my preparation when it comes to like elimination games is mental. Like no lifting or any amount of cardio is going to change it at this point. So I feel really well prepared, and now it's just like locking in and being like, we only have one game guaranteed left, so we got to make sure that we're dialed in and ready to execute come Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
For sure.
Saturday is also your birthday, is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
30.
Oh, the big 3-0.
Oh wow. Well, happy early birthday in that case.
Thank you. Hopefully we-
Yeah. Joe.
We will.
Joe will be at the game. Is that correct, Joe?
I will. Matt Stevens said he would have a ticket waiting for me, and also is getting me a press pass. That's what he did.
Oh my god, dude.
Wait,
So
Wait,
so watch out.
you're in
I will
Colorado,
be
you're flying out
interviewing
for
you
it?
both. Huh?
You're in Colorado and you're flying out for it, or?
No,
I'm
I
in
actually I
Colorado.
live in DC, so I was at the Breeze Philly game last night. And then we had a live stream where we talked about the other game, the Shred Growlers game, and Matt was watching, and so he commented on the stream saying that he would give me a press pass if I came to the game.
What does a press pass even mean? For
That's what I'm asking. That's what I
You
wonder.
can walk around and literally take a piss on the field, I think.
Yeah, we didn't know at all what that meant, but I'll be
just
on the
made that
field
up.
afterwards.
You just made that up. It's gonna be like
I know.
construction paper. It's
Yeah.
like it's
My
not gonna
girlfriend's an actual journalist. I'll ask her what.
We're
Well,
hoping
that's-
it's just stand next to Lepler all night.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
Oh,
I'm
we got
kind
some
of.
good Leffler stories.
Oh,
Ooh.
we
Please share.
love.
Please
I-
share.
I don't think I could.
Oh, that was. Oh, sorry. Cut that out. Cut that out.
Oh, we have to cut that.
We'll cut that. We'll
No,
cut that.
I'm just trolling. That's not true.
Yeah.
What are you looking up here? That's not Lepler.
Leffler came
Oh
down and
my
saw
god,
this.
dude! Don't. You can tell that story. That's pretty
I
funny.
guess, is this a video podcast?
Don't show him the picture. Just tell him the story.
This is a
Well,
video
show us the. Well,
It is
They are
yeah,
recording.
we'll
They
cut
are
that.
recording.
We can
Yeah,
edit out the picture.
We can edit it out. It's
Alright,
it's
so don't
recording,
show
but it's
them.
not live. It's not live.
Ah,
It's
Ben
just
will
a
describe
Zoom.
it.
I don't think. Okay, I won't. But it's a good photo. My little brother has a VR system, and
Okay.
after the U.S. Open, one of my teammates, we were all staying at my house for the U.S. Open, and one of my teammates,
Undisclosed teammate.
one of the pony players from that year, got fully nude except for his socks, and put on the VR and was dancing to YMCA fully naked in my basement, and Evan Leffler came down and just shakes his head and leaves.
He was not down.
I got to meet him yesterday at the field, which was great because we harass him on Twitter. we
Dude, oh,
we
man.
He's
comment
a really
on like
nice guy.
we commented
No,
on like all of
super
his
nice.
tweets, and like one time, like the chaotic, like good, chaotic, neutral.
Yeah.
That meme, we took screenshots of him from like each of his episodes and we put it in there and we tweeted it out. And it was the first time he ever interacted with us. He just replied, "This is ... a lot." That's all he said.
I love elaborate.
Isn't
jokes
it
like
so
that.
funny? Like when you meet him in person and he talks like that and for real, like he actually sounds.
He
like
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
he does.
That. Yeah. He
Yeah.
does.
When you
Hey,
like
Ryan,
meet him,
Oscar, how's it going?
Yeah.
is he like
Yeah.
welcome?
I was wearing my Ringer the I'm Open shirt, and he like commented on it. He like recognized the logo from Twitter. And I tried to get him to jersey swap with me for his collared AUDL shirt, and he said he had to do more commentating in it.
Oh my god.
Which
I
I
want one of those.
I think is a lie too, because like
I'll jersey swap with you on Saturday.
That brings me up to my another point. I think it's bullshit that you guys only get one jersey. Like, how are you supposed to jersey swap or whatever? Like, or is that not true for you guys? Do you have more than
No,
one
we only
jersey?
get home and away. Yeah. We
That's
have ours
There's
in
like
like
a bunch of other non.
Yeah, we get a lot of. Yeah, like
give us swag.
sweatshirts
They give
and
us lots of
socks.
swag.
And
If you want
We-
swag,
you got a pair of Empire
they'll
socks. You got
give
like
you
40 pairs.
They'll give you swag if you're on the team.
We
It's
have
just
a
really sick.
picture on our Instagram. So at the Summit game, we were messaging Nethercut like before the game, like let's do a jersey swap. And then when we got to him on the field, Sam was like, "All right, let's do it." And he's like, "I can't actually jersey swap because I only have one jersey." But we have a photo of like Nethercut like holding our shirt and then
Dude.
Sam holding it.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah,
looks
a
like
tip,
a
a
jersey
tip,
swap.
no, I'll tell him, but a tip for Nethercut, he is bound by Back It Up. You know this game? You guys ever heard of Back It Up?
No.
So
Maybe a
if
different
you ever
name.
interacted with, if he ever says something to you, if he says, "I'll jersey swap," you have to say "Back It Up." So what that means is that he has to do it, and if he doesn't, you can just slap him in the face. He is bound by that game.
Wow.
You
Wow.
could have hit him with the "Back It Up" there. What's that?
You signed a blood contract or something, or
He just lives and dies by this game.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Oh
he,
my
he will
God.
always respect it. So
This is
Love
huge
that.
Also,
information.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you got
I've got a full growlers kit because another cut played for them for like a game last year, and he was just like such a ringer on their team and didn't care at all. So he gave me his full kit. So I've got a full growlers kit that I used to warm up in. So that's pretty funny.
Hell
There's
yeah.
also a funny story about I was talking about the Indianapolis Alley Cats in 2018 when we played in 2019 in semifinals. Grant Lindsley traded for an entire kit, the green jersey and green shorts.
Yeah.
So every once in a while at a pony practice, he'll just show up in his full green kit. It's so funny.
That's tough.
That's
The
good.
Indy kit.
On the topic of Nethercut, and after that Summit game, you guys learned his go-to karaoke song. I believe was a Nickelback.
It was just
Yeah.
anything Nickelback.
Anything Nickelback
Yeah,
related.
he had a specific
Really?
one. Hold on, let me remember the song title. It was
We were at a
Sorry.
bar after
Keep
the
talking.
game that had
it's gonna take me a
karaoke.
second.
So Sam and I were just talking to him, and we were like, "It's like, what's your go-to karaoke song?" And he said something Nickelback. So then I signed up and sang a Nickelback song for everyone.
That's sick. Dude,
Right on.
John is such a clown, man. Was he just like clowning you guys the entire time you interact with them? Because he's like he's always doing a bit. Like everything is a bit.
No, we didn't talk to him that much because like it was the first night we met him, and there was also a
Sure,
bunch of
sure.
other people there. But like we just had like it was just a very casual, just like niceties conversation and stuff.
Okay.
I would say
John is
for us,
super
like
nice.
we were kind of like starstruck because like there was a lot of people there, and we were just like, I mean, nobody's really famous, but for us, we actually are fans of the AUDL. So like you guys, another kind
That's
of
crazy.
like when you meet I know exactly. But like when you meet him in person, it's like how else are you supposed to act? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what is
Well,
what's
thank
this?
Thank
how
you. Thank you for
This is
that.
how you
This is
remind
great.
me.
Oh,
This is how you remind me. Great song.
What's your guys' go-to karaoke?
I've actually never done karaoke.
Neither have I.
What?
Oh my god. Yeah, we suck.
I feel like 9 in the afternoon or something by Panic at the Disco would be a good one.
Okay, that gets the
Solid
people
choice.
going. That gets the people going.
Maybe Mr. Brightside.
That's
also
classic.
That's not allowed.
that'll get people going.
That's not allowed.
That's too good.
Not allowed. It's
It's
too. Yeah,
retired.
that's gotta be retired. But you know what? If I'm a karaoke and Ben Jagt wants to do Mr. Brightside, maybe we can make some exceptions. But
I'm only human.
We've all got our flaws.
yeah. My buddies in college had like a rule when they would host parties, and they had one rule really, and it was no Mr. Brightside. So I'm a little bit yeah. I'm
your
prejudiced.
So you adopted this rule as well.
I guess I just kind of walk around being like, yeah, fuck that song. So
Wait, because it's bad or because it's too overplayed?
overplayed. I think it's a great song.
Okay.
I think it's a great song.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
He's really walking this back.
Yeah,
He's taking it.
talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, see, I'm fighting between hating Mr. Brightside irrationally and kissing up to everyone who comes on my podcast. So you see the devil and the angel on my shoulder here.
Yeah,
So
makes sense. I do
yeah.
like getting kissed up too, so I appreciate it.
yeah, you're welcome.
I'm just
Ryan, you mentioned earlier that there's a beer tent at the Empire Games.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is.
Beachmont.
Beachmont.
Are these beers good? Because I'm pretty
Yeah,
excited about that.
I'm pretty sure you get like 4 or 5 free with the media pass. You're in
Oh.
good.
That's
Talk to Matt. Talk to
That's
Matt.
what
back,
Matt's
back it
trying
up.
to do.
Back it up.
Oh, God, what have I done? All right, I'll text Matt to get you some free beers.
Cool.
Oh man.
You'll probably watch this. I'm not gonna lie. Matt, give this man some beers.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah,
please.
There we go.
And isn't
Matt
it like
watches all the podcasts.
Yeah,
He
man.
listens to all of them. So what's up, Matt?
Yeah, what's up, Matt?
Good to
Yeah.
see you, Matt.
What's up?
He's been like a day one like Twitter follower for us and like commenting
Yeah.
on our shit and stuff. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's very involved. He's an exceptional GM.
Yeah.
And a
Right
good
on.
player.
Talk about kissing ass.
Wow. Yeah. We got to renegotiate my contract next year, Matt. Let's talk.
wait, he's a player GM.
Yep.
Oh,
Dude, Matt's got 300 goals or something.
Yeah,
his
dude.
stats are good.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
were live streaming yesterday during the Growlers game, and he was in our chat, and we were just like, I pulled up his stats, and I was very impressed. It was like he's
I
got
think he's third all-time goals. We hit 300 goals the same
Nice.
game
Yeah.
against Toronto when we were
That's awesome.
trashing them.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Oh, nice. You talk about me.
No. We talked about beating Toronto by 20, though,
Yeah,
just briefly.
we had some good trash talk that game.
Some dude called Ben bald. It was really funny.
Yeah, and
Wow.
their coach told me to go fuck myself.
That's
so
true.
I just
That's hardcore.
I just started
Oh my
going
God.
off. It was like a practice.
damn. That's crazy. I can't believe a coach said that.
Wait, why did they
You
say
should have heard
that?
what Ben was saying.
I wasn't even saying anything that bad. At one point, I did tell this kid was really talking a lot of smack.
James Lewis, right?
Yeah, I
He's
think
a good player,
Oh.
actually.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh yeah.
I was like, he's like, I've never been so in somebody's head or something. And I was like, I've never tripled up a team before.
Which isn't true. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, but it was actually true. I think we quadrupled up Detroit, but I'd forgotten about that in the moment. Never tripled up like a real team before.
Wow,
All
that's
right,
funny.
Detroit, Joe Cuban.
No, we have a whole tier list, and we have you guys in your own tier at the top, and then we have Detroit at its own tier at the bottom.
Oh, okay, cool.
Really punching down here again, Benny.
Oh,
dude.
Oh man.
Get used to it. You're not already.
Oh man. Cool.
I got something for you guys. Is there any characters around the league that, I mean, we have a bunch of different guests on our pods, but like, who would you recommend that would be like a fun guest? You guys have been great. I just want to say that's
This has been one of the most fun interviews.
yeah.
Sick. Let's go. Who would be good?
Have you done that?
Dude, Nethercut would be a riot. He's the best.
Yeah.
If you can get him on here, that'd be sick. Who else is really good?
Are they like AUDL? This is an AUDL podcast, not like a
Yeah.
club? Okay.
Mhm.
Well, when the season ends, we don't know what we're gonna do. We might branch out to talk about club, but currently it's an AUDL podcast.
Okay.
We mentioned college a little bit, but we try not to do it too much.
I really don't know college.
Yeah, I'm out of
anymore,
touch
so I
these
don't know.
days. Yeah. Who else is
I don't know.
good? Who's funny?
Rowan might be good. Rowan, I think Rowan's
Your
kinda
teammate
serious.
just won Callahan.
JR? Well, yeah, we know that.
Yeah, Jared. Yeah,
We know one guy in college. so
yeah.
Okay.
Cole Jurek just graduated too. But
we know Cole.
who else? I don't know. Who would be good? Yeah, John Nethercutt. I think.
Josh Klane. I was like,
Yeah, Josh Klane would be
you guys
great.
know Klane?
Do you know?
Yeah,
Feldman?
we've-
You should get-
Oh,
we've
you
inter-
should
you
get
should get
Feldman.
the Feldman Klane.
Oh my God, that'd be so
Ooh.
funny, man. They have great banter.
We interact with Klane on Twitter. He had one of the most disrespectful tweets on Twitter.
Whoa,
was that- yeah,
was-
What do you say?
Was that
Oh,
Klane?
God.
Oh my God. I
Klane
tried
is
to
a
find our
clown, man.
screenshot of it yesterday. I couldn't see it in our
Oh,
group
he
chat.
deleted it. It was so disrespectful. He deleted it.
No, he's
No,
got
it's
it
not
up.
deleted.
I'll pull it
Like
up
he
right
would.
now.
I'm trying to
We'll
find
find
it.
it. We'll find it. Yeah, it was
It
after.
was yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, it was after Indy beat Madison by 2, essentially eliminating them from the playoffs. And it was LOL. Maybe y'all should have acted like you've been there before instead of celebrating like you won the championship last week. Have a good off season at Madison Radicals.
Klane, what the hell, man?
Yeah, that was.
It was like
look
the
at the
moment the
reply.
game ended.
Because they
Madison
beat,
had a funny reply.
because they lost to Madison, right? The Winchell lost to Madison.
Yeah.
Lowering
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds. That's so funny, dude. His mustache, yeah, he needs to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Klane's
What
hilarious,
about
dude.
Kaminsky? Have you done Kaminsky yet? Kaminsky might be funny. He might be serious.
We-
I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually I have a group chat because I reached out to them. I have me, Josh Klane, and Kaminsky in the group chat.
Oh my God.
And I tried to line it up, but then it fell through, and I haven't hit him up in a while. But since you brought him up, I guess I should hit that group chat again.
Oh, actually, we're interviewing your coach next week.
Oh, that's
Charlie.
right.
Charlie.
Or David Blau.
Charlie.
Okay.
Is there anything we should ask him?
No, Charlie's a very
Earnest.
very earnest and very thoughtful guy. So I'm sure he'll have a lot of really serious answers and be thoughtful. So
Just kidding.
Yeah, I think he'll be very circumspect in all of his answers and make sure that he answers thoroughly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. I'm just excited to talk strategy.
When do you interview him? Is it next week after the game?
Yeah.
I think so.
After the
It's
game.
going to be a really good or really bad interview.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I guess we can give him a window. Things that we can give him.
We'll
we can
win.
give him
Don't
out
worry.
of
We're
him.
going to win.
I didn't want to say
It's
it.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Cool. Yeah.
Don't say it too confidently. There's some DC guys probably listening to this podcast.
Dude, no one listens to this thing. It's fine.
Wait, how many people
I
actually
will-
do listen to it, guys?
Our
Sam,
last
do you have the
YouTube
nose
video
numbers?
got 150 views, so I don't know what that exactly means.
More people follow us on Twitter and see our tweets, I think, than actually listen to the pod.
Yeah.
But I will say,
Would we-
our if we have a name on it, I think Pavel Giannis
Yeah.
probably had most views.
Got
We got around
250.
250. I thought it was more than that, but
Okay.
Oh,
You
it
guys should,
was.
because I was going to listen, but that sounds like 2 hours, and we were talking for 1,000 minutes too, probably. You got to get a condensed version, all the good stuff.
Yeah,
Cut out all
the 2 hour the 2 hour one was our awards podcast.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
usually they're about an hour.
Okay. That's fair.
yeah.
So
it's-
what makes you guys experts at awards? Why
Great
are you
question.
qualified to get awards? Are you all?
We're the
I don't-
media.
I already asked all these questions.
Okay,
But who
I'll
are
let-
you
I'll let
guys?
Ryan fill me in.
Yeah. They like the league. They follow the league. They have a friend who was in it, so they got into it. That's kind of the short
Do
version.
you tell them about your rant against the Ultimate Media?
No, but
Oh,
speaking of
please.
Lepler,
Please do.
before the season started, they sent out a survey to every player and was like, tell us a little something about yourself in a little Google Forms paragraph. And I think I wrote 1,000 words on why the announcers and the AUDL analysts are stupid as shit and they don't know anything and they've got it all wrong. And I just went off, and it was and now everyone won't ever leave me alone about it. So I
mean,
kind of
we make fun of them, I think rightly so, for just picking a player or picking league people, teams, whatever, and just sorting stats top to bottom and seeing who has the highest plus minus and going down. And like we said, a lot of these stats just get lost, or a lot of the stats aren't actually indicative, and a lot of effective gameplay gets lost because it doesn't find a stat.
Yeah.
So it's hard, and they only have a finite amount of time, so it's not
And-
like we're
and there
roasting
is-
them truly.
there
but
is
it's
correlation between stats and good players generally. There's a correlation, but it's just you miss out on a lot of stuff. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of this dude named Cam Warner? You even know who that is?
No idea.
No.
Best
Yeah.
defender in the AUDL.
he may be the best defender in the North or in the East Division.
Yeah.
I would say probably
He plays for Boston.
easily. Yeah.
But you would never know that unless you played against them. So
Yeah.
it's that's the
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah.
What makes him so good, and why do you think he slips through the cracks?
Well, it slips through the cracks because he's on D line and doesn't do a lot offensively. Mainly,
Mhm.
that's the real reason. What makes him so good is that he's super athletic, super high IQ about taking away what people want, very physical and very strong. He's just very hard to get open on, and he can make big plays to lock you up. So he's
he's fast and aware, and if you a lot of people play, myself included, play kind of takeaway defense, and I'll try to poach if I see something happening. But I think Cam, and even if I were to just be I'm going to shut this person down, I'm a decent defender, but not in my opinion, a top level defender. And I have pretty good offense, I think, which is why I'm on the D line for the turn. But if he wanted to, I think he could pretty much lock a lot of people up. He's given Jack and Ryan both really, really hard time.
It's a hard
And
matchup.
They're two of the
Yeah.
best players in the whole world.
That's my litmus test. When I play against Cam, if I can get open on him, I'm like, I'm pretty good. Like that's really what it is. Like, you just can tell by the pressure he applies and like his intelligence and his ability to like orbit intelligently and like sit on what you want and force you to take the thing you don't want consistently. Like, and I know that they're not like scheming some crazy game plan. It's like Cam is just like smart and like knows what he's doing, and he's very athletic, and he's super fast, and he's pretty tall. It's just like,
and he doesn't have those lapses like I was talking about. Like a lot of defenders, like
he's a
you
grinder.
can be like, I'm going to take away the unders, and then you can still beat them under because they just like aren't playing all on 100% of the time. And I'm sure he has those from time to time, but whenever he guarded me too, it was like, dang, this kid's good.
Yeah,
guy is good. He's like 26 or 7 probably.
Yeah. When we first started this podcast, I think we fell victim to like only looking at stats, but like we've had a lot of AUDL players just come on and like we do a tier talk every week after the games, and we bring players on to like talk about like different teams. And like when Pavel first came on, he was just like, you guys are all idiots. Like, this is actually like how it lays out. And we're like, cool, because like we don't play in the league, we don't really know. So it's really nice to like learn when we have players on and just be like the guy you mentioned, was it Cam Warner? Like, yeah, I'd never heard of him before.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's a double-edged sword too, because like I think we're an AUDL podcast for a reason, because the games are available and we have all these stats, and like as flawed as they are, like it gives us content, it gives us things to talk about, it gives us a way to compare players that is non-existent in any other like aspect of the sport. So
sure,
I mean, I think like we very are in the dark ages, and I think like we're still figuring out different things to measure, but I think as flawed as it is, it's still valuable, and I think we just got to there's a lot of figuring out that needs to be done, but I think it's good for the sport, at least. That
I totally agree. I think we both totally agree that
we're all on the
it's
same
good for
page
the
there.
it's good for the sport, and like you guys doing this podcast and like pontificating about everything, and even if you're wrong, it's good for the sport. It's talking about it, and it's like fun, and it's like engagement and all this stuff. And so I think it's great that you guys are doing this, and it's awesome that you guys just on a whim decided to do it.
And as the league grows, like there'll be more people taking stats, and we'll have better stats, and we'll have more analysis on like, oh, like this guy was actually doing a really good job against Ryan and Jagt, not Ryan and Jagt threw combined 18 assists or something in a Boston game or whatever. It's like, no, this guy was really good, and like other people happen to pick up the slack. But until then, this sort of has to suffice.
Yeah. And it's in the beginning stages. I mean, I think we're all super into the sport. And I think a lot of people that watch AUDL now either play Frisbee or, are just involved in it in some way. But I do see a future where like it continues to grow. And I think there's a ton of potential with the league. And I think the product is awesome. Like watching you guys play, I've enjoyed, and part of why we do this is like we just really like watching it. And the games this year have been exciting, and I don't know. I think Frisbee has a lot going for it. And I think the future is pretty bright. So
I have one more suggestion. I'm not sure if he would take your call or not, but some guy he loves talking about Ultimate is actually the league commissioner, Steve Hall. He loves talking. I don't know if
that would give you guys a lot of legitimacy too.
I don't know if he would, if that's like, if this is his jam, or if he would take an hour or two to talk. He's like a really successful guy who's now the commissioner of the league. But he's a very entertaining person to talk to. So I don't know, maybe if you can bend Matt's ear and say, do you think he'd be interested? He's a friendly guy. So it may be worth looking into at least.
That'd be cool.
That'd be sick. I would listen to that.
I would love
to hear what he has to say. Yeah.
I would be fascinated to talk to that guy. Yeah. I don't know what needs to happen to make that happen, but
so
that'd be sick.
Even guys like Matt Stevens, like he's on the executive council of the league, and he's like very involved. I think he might be like chairman of the rules committee too. So if you can get him, I don't know if you guys are only interested in players or if you want a little more like high level.
We'll do anything.
Who will talk to us.
Okay. Well, thanks for reaching out to me, guys. I never got the call, but I just happen to be roommates with Ron.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the year only qualifications for me. You haven't like won MVPs or anything.
He hasn't won the Ringer MVP though, the one that really matters.
Ooh, you'll always have that
true.
one. Always have that one.
That is true.
You were both on the first team,
First,
though.
yeah, you guys are both first team, all AUDL.
Oh, sweet, thanks.
You're welcome, I guess.
I mean, it's better than a kick in the teeth.
Oh, man.
I wasn't trying to be an ass.
You're just yawning
Yeah.
mid-sentence.
Anyone got anything
No.
else? We kind of took up way more time than we thought we were gonna.
Yeah,
but
this
this
is-
is super.
This was so
fun.
interesting. This was great.
So
Yeah, I feel like
or-
it's a mark of a good like podcast when I feel like we could keep going for like 2 more hours. That's how I felt like when Pavel came on too. But you guys have been awesome. Like, thanks for
better
sharing.
than Pavel.
We don't pick favorites, but we do have a tier list of podcast guests.
Oh shit.
Might be time to update it. I don't know.
Leak it.
Yeah.
Leak it. Somebody leak
I mean,
it.
this was a double interview here. I don't know. It's kind of 2 interviews in one. I might have to say it was
It's kind of
I have
unfair.
to say it was better. I don't know.
Perfect.
It's OP. It's OP. There's 2.
We
There's
did
2 of
joke.
them.
We were hanging out yesterday, was it? And we we were joking, like there's 4 of you guys. I should bring on Babbitt, Jack, and Yacht, and just like counter 4
God.
people of you. And that would have been funny.
Well, something that we want to do is bring on the entire Aviators roster and just have like a 28 person like Zoom call and like just
That'd
put
be
it
so
out there.
That'd be really funny.
Yeah, it was actually one of their. I can't remember the player, but it's someone else's idea. But we were like, I'm down. Fuck it.
This is also the only pod we've done where we've gotten stories that we have to edit out afterwards.
Oh, fun. Hashtag legitimacy. That's
Let's
nice.
go.
Yeah.
We should have
So-
made up some more nonsense to
Told some more crazy stories. Yeah.
Well, I'll be there Saturday if you want to give me anything off the record.
Yeah. Perfect.
Sick. Well, this has been great, guys. I've had a great time.
Yeah, this has been
thank
awesome.
you both so much.
Yeah, and good luck the rest of the way. We'll
Yeah.
be watching y'all's games, and good luck.
Sweet.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, thank
See you
you.
guys around.
All right.
Good luck with the podcast. We'll see you. What's your name? We'll see you Saturday.
I'm Joe.
Sam?
Joe.
Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
Hear the names.
I will. Yeah, I'll be there.
Sam.
You'll see me. I'll be wearing probably a Ringer the shirt and a Breeze bucket hat.
Breeze. Get out of here.
Yeah. He's from DC. Or he lives there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I am.
All right.
Cool.
Go Empire.
Yeah. Go Empire. All right. See you guys.
Good
All right,
luck.
later.
Guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
See you guys later.
Thanks for coming
Later.
on.
That was unbelievable. So that was
can't
not just
believe
a
we
Ryan
got-
Oscar pod. That's a Ryan Oscar and Ben Yacht pod.
And Ben Jagt pod. Oh my God, 2 MVPs. 3
Insane.
MVPs between the 2 of them.
Guys, what are we doing? What is going on? This is getting out of hand. Quick.
I loved when I said like I got nervous meeting Nethercut and and I like brought them up and like Ryan was like, oh thanks, like that really boosted my ego. I was like, yeah,
That's
you're
what
cool.
Yeah. Honestly, like I think that's part of why players are so stoked to, about our podcast, and they're stoked to come on because they've been in the league for however many years, and like I don't know how many people want to like ask them questions and stuff all the time. Like they're kind of like getting some recognition that I think is deserved. And like I don't know, we're super stoked to talk to these guys, and like we like put all these players on a pedestal, and I think it's a long time coming that like Frisbee players get recognition like that. Like
Yeah, maybe it's cool for them, like the rest of like more, I guess, more legit AUDL media. Like it's just the AUDL. They don't they're not super fans, so they're not like treating them as if they're like the coolest people they've ever met. But like we just are a bunch of guys who really like talking to these players, and so we can treat them like we're such big fans because we are.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That
Yeah.
Ryan is such an easy guy to talk to. That was so much fun.
He was
Like,
awesome.
So was Ben.
so was
They were
Ben.
both so cool.
Ben was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
Oh,
guy
the
was.
story about his number was so funny.
Oh my god, that is so funny. Yeah, and I love the story with the VR headset and Lep. Joe, you should bring a VR headset to the game.
Do we have to cut? Do we have to cut that part?
Oh, do we?
No,
Yeah,
because he didn't show the picture.
Yeah, you didn't show the
Okay.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. Also, I don't remember because I was a little drunk, but did I tell you guys about the kid who walked up to me at the end of the Breeze game and like was like, "Oh, nice shirt," and pointed at it, and I was like, "Oh, yo, yo, thank." Like you recognize like the logo, and he was like, "Yeah, that's cool. I follow them too." And then looked at me and was like, "Are you one of them?" And I was like, "Yeah." Listen to the podcast. I didn't even know like people listen to the podcast, and he was like, "I didn't either. This is crazy." But he
How
said he
old is the
recognized
kid?
my voice. He was probably like early high school, maybe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he
That's
like
so
clearly
sick.
was just like a Frisbee kid. He like I shouldn't say kid. He was like a teenager.
Yeah.
But he like recognized the shirt and like told me he recognized my voice once I like had said some stuff.
That's
like,
crazy.
That's just insane.
Yeah, hey, if you're like still listening, if you're one of the people who's like still listening to at this point in the episode, first of all, congrats. But second of all, like let us know, like interact with us
Yeah.
on Twitter. Like we love to hear
Yeah.
it. It
If
is
you
so
who said hi to me are still listening, that like made my day. That was so cool.
yeah, let us know. Yeah, we love hearing that because we honestly like we don't have a great grasp on like who's listening. I'm always shocked at the
Yeah.
people who are like, oh yeah, I listen. Like I'm like, what? and I like we see the numbers and it's like it's not even like that crazy, you know. It's like sometimes we'll get 200 listens or whatever, but like that's 200 people, and you know we'd love to know who you guys are, and we really appreciate it, you know, truly from the bottom of our heart. Like it keeps us going knowing that people are listening. So
Yeah, and big shout out to Sean, the Breeze GM, who also recognized the shirt and also gave me a nice Breeze tumbler. Was just so nice. Like,
Yeah.
and he said he remembered filling out the hat order when I ordered it. Like that's just so cool.
yeah, that's awesome. You got anything we gotta wrap up before we call it a day?
I'm open.
No, I'm
I'm
open.
open.
I'm open.
This has been I'm open.
Yeah.
I can't believe we got Ryan and Ben.